we were just chatting offline about questions and how, wow, how amazing it is. And we thought, hey, we should be hitting record.
Exactly. We're saying some good stuff.
So we actually did. We hit record. And you can eavesdrop on our conversation. And we were noticing we were kind of tangled around something, or in a space of just not knowing what we're looking for. And it didn't dawn on, Max picked it up. He's like, well, why don't we just ask some questions? I'm like, duh. And it brought up the juiciness of questions that I notice I don't think other people get it. You can see
Right.
people who really get the concept of asking questions and how that really works versus the people who don't, or they do it mechanically. Like once you get it, like there's something, you never go back to not asking questions again. You may forget, but
Right.
it's like, do you remember the before asking, like what was the transition for you from like when you really got it about what questions are? What were you doing, or how did that work for you?
Well, I'm trying to think. Like for me, I was introduced to it in a class around asking questions, and then what I just really got was when you ask a question, it creates this energy, and you can feel it. As energetically aware people, we just perceive that, and I think that's the part where I really started to get. I mean, and people who might be a little bit new, there's basically questions and statements. And what most people do in this world is they make statements. My life sucks. This day is terrible. And the part is like, it's true. But when you say that, it locks it in and doesn't give it any place to go. And then the part about questions is it allows both, I think it both your subconscious and the universe to work together to help make it true. So like the question around, like, if this day sucks, you don't say this day doesn't suck, because that's a lie and you're too smart. And that's why a lot of this positive and visualization stuff doesn't work, because you're smart, and you get like, no, it's not a good day. Today
Yeah.
sucks. But if you ask the question is like, how could this day turn out better? Or what can I do to change this?
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I really first got that question things, it's really that I can start changing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was, I realized that it was in my head. Like when all of those statements are, you're typically in polarity, and you're like, well, this day sucks. No, this is a great day. I'm having a great day. I really am. I'm ignoring the sucky. I'm having a great day. It's like, and you're in polarity, and it's
Yeah.
all mental. And it's like, that's a trap. Like you could be playing, I call it ping pong. Like you're just back and forth, polarity back and
Right.
forth. But when I went into like actually asking questions and receiving, in order to do that, I'd have to kind of put my awareness in my body and look for energy flows. Like I would ask a question and I'd start to feel all this energy shifting in my body, or this energizing in my body. And it was when I paid attention to that, I just felt better. And I
And that,
thought, oh, well, this just feels good. But then I realized that there's something else happening. And what happened for me is I had these areas of my life that were just, for me, it was money. I had just all these lockdowns. Like I just couldn't change it. And I'd done years worth of clearing around money and done everybody's money program. And it just didn't do enough. It helped, but it didn't do enough.
right.
And I sat down with a piece of paper and I started asking the series of questions that became the question mastery process. That it's like when I just asked these questions and I just felt really good. I walked away feeling really, really good. And I thought, well, okay, that's worthy. Like, even if I don't know anything different, I feel really good. And okay. But then the next day, all of a sudden, I started to get ideas on different ways to be with money, and different ways to generate income, and different ways to engage that. And the day after that, I had even more ideas. And and I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? And what I didn't get was when I ask a question and I really be in my body and I don't try to make mental understandings of it, and I just received the download from the universe of those energies. Like I'm literally downloading the answers, and it takes a bit for the body to digest those energies and kind of make sense of those. But in the days following, I just start to know shit. Like I literally download information in
Hmm.
my body, and I just know stuff, and I have no clue how I know it or where it comes from or why I know it. I just start to know things. And
Yeah.
that to me, when I really got that, I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, this is magical. Like
and
this.
and yeah, and that's the thing that how you do it that's different than so many other people, and you help me to get that, is it's not just you ask this question, is you ask the question and then you actually receive the energy from that. And that's the part that's not taught like really anywhere else. You know,
Mhm.
it's more like, oh, you just ask this question and it happens. But no, you ask the question and you receive the energy. And that's the part that so many people really don't get. You know,
Yeah.
it's like this, it is a really an active practice, is you ask and then you're receiving energy. And then one of the things that you know, can help with that is when people are doing that is to ask the question and then even just say receive
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. So the thing that we were playing with that kind of spawned this topic was Max had come up with, I think you were like, I could be 100 times more aware. We use 1,000 now, but
Hmm.
so it's like allow yourself to perceive the energy of, or let's ask and do it out loud. Ask, uh, what awareness, energy, and frequency can we be to be 1,000 times more aware
Hmm.
and receive?
Receive.
And so put your hand on your heart and just notice energies in your body. You're just looking for
Hmm.
energy moving in your body. That's it.
Right. And let's change that question slightly,
Yeah.
because being 1,000 times more aware could be painful. So we want to ask, what awareness, energy, and frequency can you and your body be to be 1,000 times more aware to your authentic advantage?
And receive.
Woo, there you go. And then
Yeah.
receive.
I do that
Wow.
automatically now. Yeah.
Wow.
And receive.
Woo. Yeah. I could feel some stop energy. And I know
Yeah.
exactly why, because
Yep.
sometimes it's hard being aware as we are right now, and being
Right.
even more aware, but to
Yep.
your local advantage. Mhm.
Yeah.
Woo.
So let's do one that's probably less charged.
Mhm.
How can we be? So, what awareness, energy, and frequency? How do you do awareness, energy, and frequency, or which? How do you
Mhm.
do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what awareness, energy, and frequency can we in our bodies be to be 1,000 times more clear and receive
Woo.
to
Receive.
your local advantage?
Mhm.
Receive.
Receive. Hmm.
And you're just
Mhm.
kind of looking for this. You're just paying attention to energy moving in your body. That's
Mhm.
it. Or actually the increase or the change of energy flows in your body.
Mhm. And then the other thing is, even if you don't feel it, if you're intending it to happen, it will happen.
Mhm.
You know, and then the more you ask these questions and more you ask for receiving, it increases.
Yeah.
So just if you aren't feeling anything, just still do that, and then put your hand on your heart. And I also put mine on the other one on my belly, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
receive. And then
Yeah.
just know that you're receiving a download from the universe. And that energy is going to be like Jaden has told me before, like a hologram. So it's like this holographic information that you have, and sometimes you're aware of consciously what's going on or some conscious things, but a lot of times you don't, and it's just kind of like you have this data packet and you can access it at some time in the future whenever it's going to be a contribution to you.
Yeah. And it's almost like for me, it comes in a compressed form. Like it's like a data file that you're downloading from the computer, and it's encrypted. And it's encrypted with a
Mm-hmm.
key that only your body has. Like the universe is talking through the planet, through your body in universe language. And two things. One, it's what I perceive as the perspectives that I download are given to me from my perspective of all that is. Like when we get knowledge from the world out there, it's from a scientist's perspective or from a government's perspective, or for like what I get when I receive from the download is from my perspective. So I don't have to change
Mm-hmm.
the direction or angle of that information to see how it's relevant to me. It is already been pre-relevanted.
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. And you're not perceiving it through a filter. And that's like when
yeah,
you were saying all that stuff is more like it's coming from someone else's filter, because everyone
yeah,
has filters of how they do stuff. And when you receive information through a filter, yeah, you have to adjust it and you have to go, okay, is this really what it is? But when the universe is giving it to you exactly the way that you understand it,
Yeah.
with exactly the way you require.
Yeah. And that for me, it makes like when you get it, and it's, if you think about it as it's compressed information, you're not right away looking for the answer to it. It's, if you think about it as it's compressed and body has to kind of digest it or work on it for a while, and then an hour, 2 hours, the next day later, you start to get it. I think that, like, really, uh, you start to feel it's a body process. It's not a mental process. It's not a being process. It's an embodiment thing. And it doesn't work as well if you're in your mind. Actually, I would say it doesn't work at all, or very little. If you're in your mind looking for an answer, like, okay, I ask a question and then receive, and then I'm looking in my mind, okay, where is it? Where are you? And then it's like interference drops things in. Like interference will drop in, oh, well, it's this idea, it's that idea. Like, and I literally, anything that comes up in my mind while I'm receiving, I ignore it. I literally ignore it. One of the things that I think is a disservice that facilitators do and don't explain is, like, if you watch a seasoned facilitator asking questions about a client, and they'll ask a question and then receive, and then it seems like they just know stuff and they start running on it. And so you think, or I used to always assume, it's like, wow, they just know shit immediately. But there's two things going on that we're not usually aware of. Is it's like, when you're perceiving a client, it's like you already have a clue, and you've already asked, you've done this before, you've asked thousands of questions about a similar topic, and you already have a knowing digested, and it just kind of brings that knowing to the surface. So you're like, bam, I got it, I know, and you start running with it. But when I receive for myself, that never happens. And I'll say the word never happens. Like, I just get this energy, and I don't know anything more in that moment than I did the moment before I asked the question.
No, I'm glad
Unless
you
I've
said.
asked a lot of questions around it, and a lot and a lot and a lot, and then I might get information in the moment, but usually I don't.
Well, I mean, and that also brings up another good point, is that it's much easier to facilitate somebody else than it is to facilitate yourself.
Agreed.
And the what I've come up with that is, it's because when you have significance around something, it makes it hard to see. And the
Yeah.
thing about in your life, everything is significant, so it's like, can you facilitate yourself? Of course. There's just certain things that you need to clear. And that's the same thing, like Jaden was saying about, when you see these facilitators facilitating somebody and they just instantly know stuff, well, they don't have significance around what that person's beliefs are or stuff. But around our own, we still have a little bit of significance. Even if we've done a lot of work on it, there's still some things that were significant and we would like it to be a certain way, whether or not that's actually true or not.
Yeah. And it's almost like, it's also, if there's areas where I have a blind spot and I'm working with a client, then what I perceive is what's around my blind spot. Like, it's not until I've cleared that area that I can actually be really dynamic in assisting a client with it. If I haven't cleared a specific, if I have a whole lot of money issues in my life, then I'm not going to be as successful in supporting a client around those specific money issues than areas where I've cleared it, and I have, it's just easy for me around that area. Then I just naturally spot things because I've done the work of clearing around that area, and I have more awareness around that area. Naturally, it's, the information is more accessible, but it's still, it's almost like that's not receiving what you're doing. You are receiving,
Right,
but
right.
it's not really receiving.
No.
It's more tuning
Tuning
to the
in. Yeah,
information.
exactly.
So I think that's the, it really is useful to get that you're not going to get mental answers. Like, I can say that I never, when I'm receiving around topics I don't know about, I never get almost never get mental answers that are authentic from the universe.
Well, that's
If I get mental answers, there often some exploiter that's in there that's going, oh, well, do this, and it's usually a distraction. It's leading me off from
Right,
receiving.
but that's a good question, the little exploration on because like I'm the same way as like when I'm receiving, I usually don't get any information. But when I'm exploring, looking at a topic from a certain different angles, I do access information, or
you get a sense of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right, I don't think about that as receiving. I look at it more as exploring.
Yeah. And I use that to ask more questions.
Correct.
To receive. Where what happens is a lot of people they're looking for answers. I'm looking for more questions. Like we're conditioned in school to look for the right answer.
Oh, totally.
And so I used to be lock, stock, and barrel. I just need to find the right answer. I just need to find the right. So where's everywhere that we just need to find the right answer?
Woo! Nowhere. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no clue what you're talking about. And
wow.
So and that and everything else that's upper active, because we haven't done any.
Oh, we haven't cleared for a while. Yeah.
And can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
And encapsulate. And what is everything we've decided it means to find the right answer that it actually doesn't mean? Wow. And all that in the pile. And what is everything we decided it doesn't mean to find the right answer that it actually does mean? Oh, feel the tangles there? It's like, and all that in the pile. Wow. And what are all the projections, expectations, rejections, separations around that? Form, structure, significance. Wow. And all that in the pile.
In the pile.
And so what is all the conditioning, implants, structures, constructs, adaptations, mutations, systems that we have around finding the right answer, needing to find the right answer, needing to have the right answer, that it's only about getting the right answer. And once you got the right answer, you're done. It's about stopping and everything all that is. And what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke spin, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed, unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable around us. Wow. And all that in the pile. Encapsulate everything from down below, back behind, up above, way out front, everything from the left, from the right. Everything from inside your body.
A lot inside.
Yep. Everything outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. And body, planet, let that go. Not you, not yours. Never was yours. Never was yours. Let it go. Let it go. Never was yours. And that invites your body. That's like your body's way of clearing. Body, let that go. You're just saying. You're just inviting your body. Let that go. Let that go. And I want body to do it out loud. So tell your body, let this go. Not you, not yours. And then for infinite being stuff, everything remaining in that pile, can we just shrink down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that and picture that pile and half. Less than nothing. And vaporize anything remaining. So for my whole life, up until X number of years ago, I was always looking for the right answer. And when I started to really get this asking and receiving, it's like, no, when I ask a question, it downloads new awareness, a new way of perceiving all that is.
Yeah.
But it's just this. And it's like, well, I want that, and I want that, and I want that, and I want that, and I want. So it's like, what other questions, what other big questions can I ask that would even expand my awareness beyond that, and beyond that, and beyond that? So it became almost like the question was the juicy and the exciting, because it's like a key. The question is like a key that unlocks another door, another window of information. And if I have the answer, it's just like, okay, so I have this little piece of information.
Right. It's a stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other part that like what I was just really getting when we were talking was that when you're receiving information about the question, but you're also receiving more of you. You know, you're tapping into more of who you truly be. Nice. And that's one of the parts too about the work that, you know, Jaden and I are doing. It's really for us and for you to become more of the person that you truly are. And and it is a journey. It's not like, oh, this is nirvana, this is the end. It's like, no, we just keep learning more and more and more and becoming more and more of the person that we came here to be.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like when we talk about infinite being, like that's not just a mental concept. That's I'm serious about that. Like, I'm not saying that metaphorically.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're an infinite being, what do you know?
Everything.
What do you have access to?
Everything.
Infinite, all of it, everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, what you get is not just an answer, but you get an answer in a perspective, a sense of perspective. So it's like, and that's what takes a while to digest, is like, you're not just getting your perspective, the one little perspective that you may have right now, you're getting an infinite being perspective download. So it's like you perceive it from the way that Jaden perceives it, and Max perceives it, and Sally and everybody else perceives it, and how the government would perceive it, and how unconscious muggles would perceive it, and how the sun would perceive it, and how the planet perceives it. Like, what you're getting is an infinite, a package of perspectives that are extremely dynamic depending on where you are. Like, and the more aware you become, the more expansive the perspectives on that viewpoint or on that concept are. Your downloads get bigger, and you start to perceive a bigger picture of things around any topic you're asking. Well, so it becomes, I don't want to say, it's almost like addictive. It's like, well, and what other perspectives can I perceive? And what other bigger downloads? And that, like, when you stand in that, you like really you feel your infinite nature. It's not a mental thing. Like, you feel, your infiniteness because you feel it.
Yeah, because you're connected to it.
Yeah.
And then the other part that I was just getting to is like, what if when you're receiving information, in order for you to really understand it, you have to step up to your next level. So the packet is not just the information, it's your information plus your next level or stepping up.
I never thought about that.
I get that, but it's like, I
haven't done it before either. It was just, yeah.
And that, it's like, if you're comfortable with your life as it is, then receiving is not something you're going to even wish for, or even, that's not the way to say it. It's like,
you don't need it.
You may be blocking yourself because it's like, it's not necessary. But if you're on a quest to become more of you, and you're living your infinite being rather than trying to be the puzzle piece, or the muggle, or the program that's living in a programmed reality. It's like, if you're trying to be that, or not trying, if you're on this quest to become more of you, which to me is just as infinite. Like, there is no achieving, there's no stopping point. Like, it's just more, and it keeps getting bigger and more, and I perceive more, and everything gets cooler and richer and deeper and more profound and more juicy and more dynamic and more playful, and what I know now, I can't imagine stopping.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. It's like, when I first, years ago, even before I was like where I was now, I was explaining to some of my friends about what I was doing, and they're like, "It seems like you're gonna be doing that forever." And it was just like, well, yeah, and it's fun. I mean, one of the things is, like, a lot of times when people come to empowerment work, they're trying to move through a really challenging experience, and that is not fun. It's a struggle, and so that what brings a lot of people to this work. So it can seem like, it's work, it's hard work, and for certain things it is. I have days when I'm moving through something really big that it's not fun.
Yeah.
But generally, the whole thing is more fun. And like Jaden was saying, is it's like with every expansion of more awareness you get, life does become easier. And it never like becomes easy. I think that's one of these manipulations that the new age spiritual people and the false light people do, because they basically try to make you wrong, because if your life isn't easy, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, but by using these tools and keeping asking questions, your life can become easier.
Yeah.
So that's
And
kind of
it's
how I play
almost
with.
it's funny because there's a program in this reality about easy, and it's the picture of life on a yacht with your feet kicked up and a martini in your hand and surrounded
Yeah.
by beautiful women or men, depending on which gender you're or however you play
Attracted
with that. Whatever you're attracted to. It's like, for me, and I've played that lifestyle. I've lived in that. Like, I've had experiences of having more money than I knew how to spend, and I got bored after a while. I mean, honestly, it took me a year or two before I got bored. And if you've never played in that, it's totally worth playing in until you reach a place where you're like, I'm over it. Like, I'm bored with that.
Right.
It's almost like it's a false goal, but once you get there, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
big deal. But what's really driven me was, back when I was young, I would say a drive for knowledge and knowing more. But then you start to get all this conflicting information. You realize that a lot of people don't understand. Even the experts really have no fucking clue on so many levels. It's like you start to see all the conflicting information, and you start to get the picture of, like, the whole game of knowing more is garbage. Like, it's just generating trash.
It's a game people play. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's like, what I recognized is that wasn't fulfilling. Once I reached the magnitude of knowing, it's like, what if you don't actually want to know more? What if you want to perceive and be more? It's actually like, I want to embody the information, not know the information. And the difference is, when you know information, it's just a mental perspective on something. It's just a single solitary perspective about that's being labeled as true. When I receive and download, like, I have a multi-dimensional knowing. I can look at it 360 and take it apart, put it together, reassemble. I have something that goes beyond knowing, that's light years beyond knowing. And that's what I was hungry for. And it's an embodiment of knowing. Does that,
Oh yeah, no, it totally does. And like when you were talking about that, I mean, I was probably in a similar place. It was just like, I wanted to know as much as I could. It was kind of about everything, but then it would focus in to a certain area. And I think a lot of how this reality is designed, it's around knowing a specific path, like whether it's computers or banking or whatever. And at one time I did play that game. I was in computers and was knowing as much as I could. But right now it feels like that was a really pillared type of information, and then now it's more, I want to really explore and learn kind of like how this whole reality works. And then that'll really allows me to help people untangle where they are in that little part of what reality they're trying to create and what they want to be. And the path that Jaden and I are on is different than yours, and any path that you're on is actually okay. But what we're trying to play with is we look at this, try to expand our awareness and our knowing about what's going on in this reality. And then we share that with you so that you can understand how that applies to your area.
I like the way you said that about the
there's a lot of stuff that's up. What is everything that's up or active for anybody? Like, I notice it's like hard to talk. It's like blah, blah, blah. So what is everything that's up or active? And let's push all that in the pile. And what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed, unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable energies? Wow. And all that in the pile, and encapsulate, and everything from down below, behind, back, up above, way out front, from the left, from the right, everything from inside. Wow, yuck.
Yeah.
Outside, everything remaining on the pile, and tell your body out loud, body, planet, let that go. Not
Body,
you,
planet,
not yours.
let that go. Body, planet, let
Never
that go.
was yours,
Not
never
yours,
was yours.
not yours, never was you.
Let it go,
never
let it
was
go, let
yours,
it go,
never
let it
was
go,
you,
let it
never
go,
was
let it
yours.
go. And you'll feel like a lightning, like you're actually distancing yourself from that pile, and you're inviting body, just let it go. And everything remaining, can we shrink it down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
I choose it. And vaporize. Woo. Wow. And there's also, so it's like, what we've noticed is that once you have, do exploders, that once you have points of view and the blurry, foggy, I call it energy fog stuff, the stuff we just cleared, it's like what that is kind of like a tangled gnarl of density that's energetically in your space, and you'll get energies that live in that and hide in that space. And once you clear that stuff, all of a sudden you have these like ants, or it's like the energetic version of ants or cockroaches or
mosquitoes.
It's actually mosquitoes that kind of lived in that space. You clear it, and now you see these creepy crawlies. You're like, ew. So what are all the entities, demonics, creatures, coalition aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, angels, light beings, pre-tagged, print caps, all their networks, hive civilizations, universes, all their customers, client sharers, stock with board directors, pre-tagged, print caps, freeze, tap down, trees, freeze, tap down, freeze, tap down, freeze, all. Wow. And can we banish all these energies?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. And out
from all bodies,
and
beings, realities, dimensions.
If you notice stuff not leaving, like some of it left, some of it didn't. So there's agreements. What is everything we agreed we would do for them? They agreed they would do for us. Yeah. What is everything that was the benefit or value originally of engaging? And what is everything that was not the benefit or value of engaging? And what else was not the benefit or value of engaging? And what is everything that was not the benefit or value of engaging? You want to grab all of that.
Yeah.
And can we just try and create all those agreements?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Resend, revoke,
Retract,
recount, reclaim, vaporize, null
recant,
void, null
renounce,
void,
make
null
null
void,
void,
null
make
void,
null
null
void,
void,
make
null
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 void.
void, null void. And out, banish action. Anything remaining, out, banish action, out, banish action, out, banish. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Much clearer. Much clearer. Out, banish
Yeah.
action.
And then just for the people who are new around all this stuff, this is one of the things that really messes with energetically aware people. Because you're aware of, you get exposed to all these things and you sense it, but it's not really in your conscious perception. And it makes any situation much worse. Once again, it's like you're in a situation, doesn't seem like there's anything really a big deal, but you get all flustered. It's to clear energy fog, clear entities without any significance. It's just something that you do. Just like if you got dirty, you take a shower. And then if you do that, then it makes the next steps that you need to take in this world easier. And Jaden and I do that too. It's just like when things get a little bit funky, we clear that and then we move on.
Yeah. I like the analogy of like if you're in a physical space and you were in a contained space, let's say you were in the middle of this large complex of abandoned, like a hotel place or something, and you're in your room and you're seeking to expand your awareness, well, you're going to knock down this wall. And you're going to knock down this wall. If you want expand, knock down this wall. And it's like when you knock that down, there's rubble and garbage and junk. And so as you expand into that space, there's all that rubble. Well, we're clearing that rubble in those different ways. And then you have a clear space. And then you're like, wow, this is really cool. And then our natural thing is to want more. Or I can only speak for me. My natural thing is to want more. So I knock down more walls. And that's all the unconsciousness. That's all the garbage that prevents my perception and awareness and capacity with that. So it's like I'm rarely okay for long with the space I've cleared. Like it might be 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah, this is really good. I cleared all this space. I feel on top of the world. This is so good. And I'm like, okay, I'm over it. I want more space. Like, it's just natural. Like, I want more awareness. I want more. I want more. And so I'm constantly knocking down, clearing space, and that stirs up rubble. And then you clear the rubble, and then you have more space and you feel good. So some of it too for me is knowing there are times I get tired, but then I'm in this pattern of wanting more awareness, so I'm knocking down more walls. So it's like there's times where it's just like, no, I'm happy with this space I've cleared. I'm comfortable with the awareness that I have. I don't need to knock down any new walls. And then things stay more or less quiet because I'm not creating more rubble. Like, there's not more to clear because I'm just kind of okay with the space I have. But then, so it's just being aware of the dance that you do of awareness of.
Yeah, and then, you know, and that's like for Jaden and I, when we're doing these explorations, we keep going bigger and bigger. And then in your world, it could be that when you have a challenge or when things become more difficult, then that's when you're going to clear and expand. And there's no judgment on what's right or wrong. It's just that often those challenges kind of force you to expand and go to the next step.
Yeah. So there is the process of, this thing is this up in my life and this is intolerable, and there is that, because it's almost like you've grown, you've expanded, and now this limitation, this object, this structure is like, and it's like, okay, so you need to clear that. And then there are other times where it's more like, yeah, I'm just feeling limited in this direction, so I'm going to go knock down walls and receive awareness in that direction. And then there are times you don't know what direction to go. It's like, I have no clue.
Which is where we started today, which is the whole thing about questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like when you don't have any, like we were like, well, what do we want to talk about? And we're like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? And it's like, well, how about we ask some questions about what we want to talk about? And then we started asking questions, and we were just like, duh, let's talk about questions. It's just so juicy. It's like,
oh yeah.
Okay. So what awareness, energy, and frequency can we in our bodies be to engage questions to support us to expand our reality to our local advantage? And just kind of put your hand on your heart and just notice. I do that just to remind myself, I'm not looking up here. I'm looking for energy flows in my body, period. And what awareness, energy, and frequency can we be to be 1,000 times more embodied than we've ever been before, and receive to your local advantage.
Local advantage, yeah. Ooh, receive. Ooh,
and you're just noticing energy moving in your body. That's it. I'm not looking for thoughts. I'm not looking for ideas. That's it. What was the other one we were playing with?
Empowerment or energized?
The fun.
Fun.
The
Ooh,
fun.
yes, let's bring fun back in that.
So fun to me is a body thing. Being fun, yeah, okay, but body is a fun thing. When body's having fun, what I notice for my body is there's a magic involved.
Oh, yeah.
When you're really having fun, like your body's functioning outside of the limitations of this reality, and it's doing some cool shit. Like, it just feels good. Your body's like, yo, this is so fun. Your body's expanding. So when I ask for fun, people are like, yeah, fun. I'm like, fun is the most potent thing on the planet. Like, you watch little kids running around, they can terrorize a group of really organized adults very quickly. And they're just having fun, but it's a wild energy. It's a out of the box energy. It's a very dynamic, discombobulating, it's a magical energy. So what awareness, energy, frequency can we in our bodies be to have 1,000 times more fun than we've ever had before, and receive to your local advantage? We've ever had before has a limit on there.
Yeah.
So what awareness, energy, and frequency can we in our bodies be to have 1,000 times more fun and receive to our local advantage?
Receive.
And I just noticed after I said that body was not receiving as much as my body just felt kind of unhappy about the words. So it's like, yeah, there could be more there. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I added a limit to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what
Yeah.
awareness, energy, frequency can we in our bodies be to have 1,000 times more play in our life
Ooh. Mm.
and receive.
To
And
your
just allow
local
yourself to
advantage.
feel
Mm-hmm.
just feel the energy. Just put your attention on what are the energies moving in your body. And you may feel them around your heart, your chest, your head,
Mm-hmm.
down in your legs, down in your back. Just notice where
Mm-hmm.
that energy is. And what if that, and here's a mental switch. Allow yourself to look at the acceleration of energies in your body as evidence that you are actually downloading.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when you do that, it's like, what if that's the new information coming in and being processed, being decoded, being
Mm-hmm.
decompressed for your later enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that gives you the affirming that A, something's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and B, it refocuses you back on your body
Mm-hmm.
and causes you to pay even more attention to your
Mm-hmm.
body and
Yeah.
even more attention to your body and even more attention. And there's something about that that gets you out of mind, out of the
Mm-hmm.
limits, out of the obstacles. And it's just you, your body, and the universe in this dance of inviting in more and inviting in more and
Mm-hmm.
inviting in more and inviting
Yeah.
in more. And it doesn't seem to get old. Like I just, and I just keep expanding, and I just
Mm-hmm.
keep perceiving more, and I just keep
Mm-hmm.
being more, and I keep having this richer sense of embodiment, being in my body and co-creating in my body and co-creating with the planet, co-creating with the universe. And it's just doing that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's something about
Yeah.
the questions.
Right. And then the part about like receiving is just really amazing when you actually just do that receiving. So like I feel so much more, in my body. I feel happier. It's amazing what receiving can do. And then it's just like having to pause. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we do our clearing work, we can be a little bit more aggressive, forcing things out and banishing and vanquishing them, which is required for certain things. And receiving gets at a different level. And
Yeah.
there's certain things that you can clear with receiving that you can't as easily clear with that force or banishing.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
it's like receiving is almost like it's an underutilized skill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when I have a thing, let me share it. Share screen. Where is it? Here you are. When I first started
Mm-hmm.
with asking questions, I started to notice that I could come up with these generic sentences and then just fill in the topic. And so I looked for like, what questions can I ask that would really allow me to go deep on some topic that I was kind of not understanding. Mm-hmm. And so it's like how I came up with this process called the question mastery process. And basically it's just, you want to list over here. It's like, what if every day, and this is my invitation, if you've never, this is what changed everything for me, this one exercise here. Like it's a commitment to, I'm inviting you to commit to, for 30 days, every day, sit down, and there's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and there'll be down below a link where you can download this for free. And it's like, every day, sit down and ask like 2 or 3 questions, or pick 2 or 3 topics about anything in your life and write them down. So I might do consistently asking and receiving. Like if I don't do it all the time, I might say, well, how can I consistently start asking and receiving? Like, how can I make this more natural? Or how can I be trusting my capacity to ask and receive? In the beginning, you're like, yeah, I'm not sure if this is really working. I don't know if this really does anything. It's like, so write down whatever it is that you want to change or create more of here. And then you go up to number 2 and you plug that in here. So it's like if I was consistently asking, so how could I, what potential to consistently ask and receive is now available to me? And receive. And I'm just looking for shifting energies in my body. That's it. And I be with it until, like, receiving, you feel it like expanding more and more and more and more and more. And then it kind of maxes out, and then it starts to get quieter. And like I've received the bulk of it, and then it starts to dwindle. Then I ask the next question. So what's right about consistently asking and receiving that I'm not getting? And receive. And like I'm feeling it expands, there's more, I'm receiving more, I feel more, I feel more, I feel more, I feel more. Kind of maxes out. And then it starts to dwindle. It's like, okay, so I've maxed it out. What breakthrough in consistently asking and receiving is now possible for me? And receive. I'm just looking at energy flows in the body. And they expand and expand. Like for me, this one doesn't have as much as the first 2 had, but I'm just noticing it. And what fun and playful resolution to consistently asking and receiving is now possible? And receive. Wow. Now that one is more juicy. It's like, wow. 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 And what bigger, different questions can I ask to actualize consistently asking and receiving? And receive.
Receive.
Wow. That's like very dynamic. Whatever that is, it's, the energies are very, very different, very dynamic. And what is everything in the way of receiving this? I'm just going to put all that in a pile. And shrink that down. And then if you want to kind of amp it up a bit, there's receiving, and then there's choosing it. So like if I'll do a receiving, and if it feels really good and really juicy, it's like, wow. Like how did that one feel when we received that one? How'd that feel to you?
Oh yeah, it felt really good.
It's like, yeah, I want more of that. Like,
yeah.
And definitely. So if that feels good, if that question that you asked or that topic you asked feels good, then I'll plug it into here. I choose consistently asking and receiving. Symbiotic universe, bring me consistently and asking and receiving now. And receive.
Ooh.
And it's kind of like I'm making a command, a demand. I'm saying, no, I choose this. This is good. I really like this. And I'm choosing consistently asking and receiving. Symbiotic universe, bring me consistently asking and receiving now. And receive.
Ooh, receive.
And I have chosen consistently asking and receiving. Symbiotic universe, bring me consistently asking and receiving now. And receive. And it kind of like amps it up. It's like, in another way, I'm telling my body, this is important. This is valuable. I like this direction. Let's really focus on this. Let's bring more. I'm giving direction to my body, the universe, the planet. I'm like telling all that is, this feels good. I choose more of this. And then what is everything in the way of receiving this?
Ooh.
This is kind of,
not as much as before, though.
No. And what is everything in the way of choosing this?
Ooh, there we go.
Wow. And all in the pile. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way up front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining. And body, planet, universe, let that go. Not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours, never was yours. And can we shrink that, everything remaining down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Vaporize.
Vaporize. I got 5 vaporize. I got 5.
Now, the other way, I'm sorry, did you want to?
I just wanted to say that when you're first doing this receiving stuff, you might have to be asking what's everything for each question is what's everything in the, if you don't receive anything, just ask what is everything in the way of receiving. and then remove and destroy that. Because
And
often there's blocks when we're receiving in the beginning, but you always have access to being able to receive. And if it doesn't feel like you're receiving, there's just a block, and then clear that.
And you can also ask, and so interference will also gets that you're downloading infinite knowledge, and it's like no, if you have a lot of interference in your life, then it may tell you, oh, see, this isn't working, nothing's happening. Recognize interference cannot perceive what you're downloading. It's kind of like it's compressed, it's in a format that only you can read it. It has no clue whether you're successful or not, and it can't read it. It will always say this isn't happening, nothing's working, because it doesn't perceive anything. That's why you focusing on energies in your body is useful, because it shortcuts all of that crap. If you assume, like I think you used to say this a lot to your clients, if you just always assume it's working.
Yes.
Always assume it's working, because it is working. If you're having your attention on your body, it's always working. Even if you hear voices that say it's not, just banish those voices. They're not you, because you're always receiving. If you may notice you're only receiving a little bit compared to what you sometimes do. And I'll just say I receive in all those hidden backdoor ways that no one knows about but me and the universe, and allow yourself to receive. So if you have a good question, there's a lot of like these are really juicy. You may also ask a question that's like not a good question. In the beginning, you don't know what's a good question, what not a good question. Like you may ask a question of like, how can I not suck at asking and receiving? I mean, we're programmed that like, it's like, I suck at asking, receiving. So like, how can I not suck? So watch what this feels like. What potential to not suck at asking and receiving is now available? And it's kind of like the receiving is,
there's like nothing.
It's like nothing, or it's wobbly. It's like, what's right about not sucking at asking and receiving that I'm not getting? Like, it just feels off compared to what we had before. So if you have a question, and I used an extreme example, but you may have one that receiving is kind of like, when you get down to this bottom point, and you've asked that, or even if the first couple questions you're like, this doesn't feel right. Part of this process is also teaching you how to learn how to ask good questions. And there's a trick to learning how to ask good questions. And so if it feels wonky when you're over here, go back and rework your question. And you want to find a way to ask it in a positive way. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on the future state of what it would be like if you had it already.
Right.
And I've also thrown on page 3, actually there's a page 4 to this. I have an update. I haven't shown. Okay, I'll link the update to this. I've got a page of tricks of things not to ask. Like we've come up with certain words you don't want to build in a question because they're limitation. Like to say totally, to use the word completely or always, seems to just sabotage the question. It limits it in some way. Putting a time frame on it, like how can I? What awareness? How can I? Let me use my question form. What potential to always ask and receive? It's like, it just feels, what potential to totally ask and receive? Like there's certain words that you plug in there, and I'll give you that list of words too, that they're like, don't use these words because they sabotage it. And it's just, there's something about the word totally that doesn't really work when you're communicating with the universe. There's certain words that shut down the flow of information. And when you're part of the process of question mastery is learning how to phrase good questions. When you get it, it's just, there's always this big flow. And so part of this is a learning process. So if you get through here and you're like, yeah, this isn't working, just rework your question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can even rework them just to try, just for fun. So even if you are receiving something, you can put in a different word and see, or rephrase it, and just see if it's better or worse. And that can also taps you into the energy of what does work and what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something about, for me, when I did this, and I originally started doing it or told people to do it for 7 days, but honestly, my commitment to myself was to do it for a month. And so I was like, screw it. I'm going to just do the month thing. There was something about doing it day by day, even if I only asked 1 or 2 questions a day, sitting down morning or night. I usually would get out of bed and do it, or before I go to bed, I would do it. That you start to feel your connection to the authentic universe. Like, you get that, wow, like I ask a question and immediately the universe starts responding me with information. Immediately. You start to really get that you're supported and you're nurtured.
Yeah.
And it's, as you start to receive this information, you're like, this is like for me personally. It's not generic for every human on the planet. Like, you get that the information is specific just to you. It's like the universe talking directly to you. And when the more you do this and the more you hone it, like, you feel your connection to the universe, and you feel your value and your peace in the whole that I never felt before. Honestly, I really didn't feel it until I really did this on a repeated basis. And then it's like, wow, I get it. And so that's what I suggest to you, is to do this process, whether you use my questions or somebody else's questions, I don't care, but do a process of every day sitting down and asking questions and receiving. And as you learn and you hone this, like, you'll get it, you'll feel it, and you can't go back. Like, you won't go back. Like, once you get it, you'll never be the same about asking questions. You'll never be just like, so, like, what is this, or what's the one that they use a lot? Well, what else is possible? And like, you hear people say, what else is possible? And they're not actually receiving. They're just throwing this question out. Almost, it's really a statement.
When they say it, it's a statement. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what else is possible? And they just keep running. It's like, no. And what else is possible? And receive.
Yeah.
And put your hand on your heart and feel energies moving in your body. And I always like to end with that. I love that question, but it's people who don't know how to use it that throw that out. And it's like, I'll always, not always, but typically end with, and what else is possible? I'm like, well, I've been asking just these limited questions. And the universe is out there going, yeah, he's so close to this and so close to that and so close to this, and he really needs this over here, but he has no clue that this is really part of this. He doesn't see it yet. So when I'm asking what else is possible, I'm going, hey, universe, well, what else is possible that I'm not paying attention to? And receive.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa. And when I feel that, I'm like, wow, well, and what else is possible? And receive.
Receive.
Wow. And what else is possible?
And what else?
And receive. Wow. And what that is like, wow. And you may get to a space where you feel so full that you're like, I can't possibly receive anymore. My suggestion is to do another what else is possible, and what else is possible, and receive. And keep expanding your capacity to receive bigger and more and bigger and more, because we've been conditioned to receive very small. And as you practice this and keep expanding and receiving more beyond where you ever thought you could receive, and more and more, and like, you'll get to a place where you're like, if you're really pushing it, you'll get to a place where it's like, wow, my body's got so much information. I'm almost like,
you're all spacey.
Dizzy, spacey, and you could also get to a point where you're sleepy. It's like, when you really push it and push it, you'll have so much information, your body's like, dude, we need to rest to integrate. Like, I need to work on this. You gave me a lot of stuff to do. Like, really explore with pushing your receiving to more and more and more. And it's amazing, absolutely mind-blowing what that does.
Yeah.
And it just feels so good.
It
And the other
does
thing
feel so good.
I want to throw in is, for many years, 10, 15 years ago, I used to smoke pot every night because it's the only way that, like, I felt like I expanded and I felt good. And after I stopped smoking pot, like, there's a part of me that noticed that space of what that felt like. And I used to like it back then. Now, but it's like, when I ask it and receive, I actually feel the same thing that I used to feel when I was smoking pot, in terms of that sense of expansion of information and that feeling good and that sense of like, wow, it's so spacious and like, wow. And not everybody feels that from pot, and I'm not even recommending that, but there's something that asking questions does that takes your body to a space that's so big.
Yeah, and I think we've actually done that in this call, because I feel that energy. You know, it's like we've been doing a lot of receiving. Everybody who is joining us here.
Yeah. And what else is not possible? And receive. So my invitation is, from now on, if you ask a question, always stop and receive. Never just throw a question out. If you ask a question, take at least a couple seconds to feel your body and intend. I actually still, to this day, say the word out loud, receive. And I'm informing my body that I'm focusing on it and we're going to receive. Like, it's just a cue that helps me to not get in my head and not get in mechanics and actually get in my body and feel that. So,
Yummy.
Cool. So what is your life like in 10 years if you ask the same number of questions you have always asked or have asked in recent times? And what is your life like in 10 years if you commit to some process of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a full 30 days of asking and receiving? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what it does to your life. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. So do play. It'll be linked down below this video, and it's just free download. Just go get it. So.
Yeah. Definitely fun to play with.
Yeah. Yay!
Cool.
And I would go as far as to say, everywhere, I don't get so excited about this topic. Everything that where I've come in terms of my capacity to facilitate and to become aware is all connected to asking questions. Like, there are things where we couldn't even, when we hit walls we couldn't clear, we went into asking questions about how do we change this, and that helped us to find new tools to take down those walls.
Yeah, no, I've used that to discover my own tools when I've had super tough challenges, you know. And it's like, how do you get that information? Well, you have to ask for it, you know. And the thing about just like knowing that you can move through anything, any challenge, you can achieve anything that you want, it's by asking these questions that then allows you that information to take that next step.
Yeah. And it's all sitting there. The universe is waiting to tell you, to share with you how to get free, how to get out, how to expand, how to have a happier, more fulfilling, more playful life. Whatever you're looking for, the universe is waiting to give you the answer eagerly. All you got to do is ask and receive it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Cool. Yay.
So where can they find you, Max, if they want to go deeper with you on anything?
Yeah, they can find me at my website, which is maxriggs.com. That's maxriggs.com. I'm excuse me. I'm also on YouTube. You can just search for Max Riggs. I'll be the first person that pops up. And then one of the things that's like we kind of talked about in this call was a lot about body work. And I have a course, it's called Removing the Forces, Messing with Your Weight and Eating, which sounds like it's around diet and stuff, which was kind of the original intent, but it really became a course
Bigger.
of really integrating, becoming embodied with your body and having the connection with your body that you were born to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And for me, if you're interested in my work, go to Jaden, Jaden Fox, Fox.com, or search for Jaden Fox on YouTube, and I'm on Facebook, and I think that's about it. The rest of them are. And we're just scratching the surface here, and our goal is to invite you to become more and become more, so you can support others in becoming more aware, and we can change this planet to become a more aware play space and find more playmates for you all to connect with. Let's do it. Let's change this planet.
Yes. Woohoo!
Thank you, Max.
Okay. Thank you, Jaden. See y'all later. Bye.